Hello guys and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be making my predictions for game week 28 of the 25-26 Premier League season. But as always, before we begin, let's see how I did last week. I got no scorelines correct, but I did get 6 outcomes correct, so that is 6 points, taking my season total up to 159. And this is how the Premier League table looks after 27 matches. And without further ado, let's predict this weekend's matches. And we start with tonight's match. It's Wolves against Aston Villa. And Aston Villa with the last minute 1-1 draw, the last minute equaliser against Leeds last week. Wolves once again losing 1-0 to Crystal Palace. Again, I think it was a fairly last minute goal for them there. This game is at Molineux, and I do favour Wolves more at home than I do for them on the road. But Villa are in the top 3. They're still 3rd place. I'm not entirely sure they're in the title race anymore, but I think they will get the 3 points here. I'll give Wolves a go. Maybe Bueno, he's been putting them in, but I'm going to go for Villa to win it 2-1. I think Villa need the 3 points to try and maintain that 3rd place position in the table. I think that's what they're going to do, 2-1 Villa. And then we move on to tomorrow's matches, the 12:30 kickoff. It's Bournemouth against Sunderland. And this is a battle of two sides going in opposite directions in the table. Sunderland are now, unfortunately, in a pretty bad run of form. Bournemouth are actually picking up points left, right and centre right now. They are flying. No, the Stadium of Light used to be Sunderland's, fortress. It used to be where they picked up the most points, but they're on the road here, and even recently at home they've been dropping points against the Bournemouth side, who tend to be doing alright. I've got to back the Cherries here. I'll back Bournemouth to win 2-1. I think Bournemouth just have the quality and the form to get the 3 points here. 2-1 to the Cherries. Next up, we've got Liverpool against West Ham United. A battle of two sides on differing sides of the table. Liverpool currently 6th. West Ham are still 18th. They're still in the drop zone. This is a tricky one because West Ham are actually on a pretty good run of form right now. Then solid run of form. Liverpool are on a great run of form themselves, but their performances haven't been that convincing. Last week against Nottingham Forest, it took a very, very last-minute goal from Alexis McAllister. Well, one was ruled out, and then you got an even later winner. With all that being said, this game is at Anfield, and I think West Ham now have a tricky run of fixtures coming. I'm going to back Liverpool to win here. I'll back Liverpool to win 2-1. I know it's boring, the same scoreline again, but guarantee some points. But, yeah, I could see West Ham getting a draw here, maybe. But I do think at Anfield, Liverpool just have the quality for the win. 2-1 to Liverpool. Next up, we've got Newcastle United against Everton. And this is an interesting one. Newcastle obviously playing Karabag in the Champions League midweek in the playoff round. 3-2 winners in the second leg. They've gone through 9-3. I think 9-3 on aggregate. They're against an Everton side here who actually seem to be better on the road than they are at home in recent weeks, and it's tricky, but I do like Newcastle at St James's Park as well. I think you never know what Everton's side will show up. But I do think Newcastle will show up, and I think they'll get the 3 points here. Because I haven't been overly convinced or impressed by Everton's performances recently. I back the Magpies to win 2-0. I think they might keep a clean sheet here. But ultimately, I do think Newcastle will get the 3 points. 2-0 Newcastle. Next up, we've got Burnley against Brentford in a battle of the bees. Now, Burnley with the 1-0 draw against Chelsea last week. That was a good result for them. Come on to Chelsea a bit later. But Brentford, they're an interesting one. They blow hot and cold a lot. This season they lost 2-0 to Brighton last week. And this game is at Turf Moor, and I think on their day Burnley can show up and get results. But against the Brentford side, who also on their day can show up and get results, I'm going to go down the middle and sit on the fence with a 1-1 draw on this one. I think Burnley are almost accepting they're going down, so I think a point wouldn't be the end of the world for either. A 1-1 draw on this one. Next up, we've got a big game. It's Leeds United against Manchester City. And the game is at Elland Road. And that could be a factor in this match. Because Leeds have taken points off of almost everybody, especially at home, in recent times. But Man City are fighting for the title. They're trying to hunt down Arsenal, and I do think... this could be tricky. I can see goals in this game. That's one thing I can see. But I just fancy Man City a bit more. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if Leeds could show up and get a draw or something from this match. But I'm going to back Man City to win 3-2. I'll go for goals, but because Leeds games always tend to have goals in them. But I think Man City will get, in the end, the crucial 3 points they need to keep the pressure on Arsenal at the top of the table. 3-2 Man City. Yeah, very entertaining game. Next up, we've got Brighton against Nottingham Forest. And go from one high-scoring game to one low-scoring game, you'd imagine. Nottingham Forest with a 1-0 loss to Liverpool at the City Ground last week. Brighton went to Brentford and won 2-0. Very impressive and important win for Brighton there. But it is at the Amex, and I do trust Brighton more this season, despite neither side being on an overly great run of form. Of course, Forest do have Vitor Pereira in, but I do think Brighton might just edge it. I think it'll be cagey. But ultimately, I do think Brighton will win 1-0. I think it's going to be close, but I do think Brighton will just have enough for the 3 points. 1-0 to the Seagulls. Next up, we've got Fulham against Tottenham Hotspur. And this is another interesting match. Fulham, with a very impressive 3-1 away win at the Stadium of Light against Sunderland. Tottenham losing 4-1 to Arsenal at home. Spurs were at home. Spurs are on a very poor run of form. They're a bit like Everton. They tend to do better on the road, weirdly enough, this season. But Fulham they're not on the greatest run of form, but they're starting to pick up the pace a bit more again here. And it is at Craven Cottage. I think I'll back the Cottagers here. I'll go Fulham to win 2-1. I think Spurs are very much in this relegation tussle now. And I think Fulham might actually get the 3 points here. 2-1 Fulham to put Spurs into a real spot of bother. Next up, we've got Manchester United against Crystal Palace. And this is an interesting one. Palace with a 1-0 win against Wolves. And Man United with a win as well. They beat Everton 1-0 on the Monday night. Neither win were overly convincing, but it is at Old Trafford, and I do fancy Man United more at home. I look at the quality of the two squads, and I think Man United just have the quality to win. What would this be, 2 in a row for United Strands to, in an attempt to go and cut his hair again? I think maybe Jurgen Strand Larsen might score for Crystal Palace. Him or Sarr, maybe. I think Palace will get a goal from somewhere, but Man United will have 2. I go Man United to win 2-1. I think Man United just have the quality to win 2-1 to the Red Devils. And then finally, we've got maybe game of the week. It's Arsenal against Chelsea. And this is a big game. Although Arsenal did just, slap up Spurs 4-1. Chelsea could only draw 1-1 with Burnley last week. They can't hold on to leads. But the thing is, another problem for Chelsea recently has been keeping 11 men on the pitch. I think it's tricky. It's tricky to know which side will show up, because I do think on their day Chelsea can get a result here. Arsenal are probably the overwhelming favourites to win the match, especially with it being at the Emirates. But I think I fancy a draw on this one, because Arsenal, they did beat Spurs 4-1 and they'll be high in confidence from that. But they were off the back of 2 or 3 draws in a row prior to that match. So you know what? I think Arsenal are very capable of dropping points here. They're very, very capable of winning. And if I had to pick a winner, I would pick the Gunners. But I'm actually going to go for a Desmond, a 2-2 draw on this one. I think Chelsea might, because they've still got the quality, I think they might just snatch a draw from somewhere. A 2-2 draw on this one. And there you have it, guys. This weekend's 10 Premier League matches predicted. I'd love to know your predictions in the comments down below. And yes, I'll be back next week to... is it next week, actually? Yes, I'll be back next Tuesday, maybe, to react to these and to make more predictions. And I'll see you all in the next one.